Welcome back to Purposeful Podcasting. I am so glad that you are joining us today. My name is Krystal. I am one of the co-hosts of this podcast and one of the co-founders of Serendipitous Rebel. And if you've been looking for ways to create a profitable, fulfilling business without burning out, you're in the right place. Here at Serendipitous Rebel, we are all about finding alignment between who you truly are and how you show up in your work so you can savor your life while running a business that you love. In this episode, Wendy and I dig into a topic that is crucial for every entrepreneur at any stage of the journey: validating your business offer. Have you ever found yourself daydreaming about a new product or service idea, but you weren't exactly sure how to turn it into a real sustainable revenue? Or maybe you've already launched something, but you still have the nagging doubt in the back of your head. Is this truly making the income and impact that I'm aiming for? Today, we're going to share how to answer those questions and build out your offers with clarity and confidence. We're also going to talk about why it's so important to align your offer with your personal goals, your runway, your strengths, and the real world needs of your audience. Because let's face it, there's no point pouring all of your time, money, and energy into an idea if it doesn't actually meet a demand or move you closer to your vision. We're going to walk through specific steps and mindset shifts that help you confirm that you're on the right track or spot the signals that it's time to pivot. So before we jump in, I've got an exciting invitation for you. Join the waitlist for our private podcast that we're working on behind the scenes called the Savor Podcast. It's where Wendy and I will be taking these conversations even deeper, sharing behind the scenes insights and offering extra resources that you won't find anywhere else. To sign up, you can check the show notes or visit serendipitousrebel.com/savorpodcast. All right, without further ado, let's dive into this replay of our Savor Summit to see how you can validate your business offer. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to Purposeful Podcasting. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Krystal. This podcast is meant to share how we and other entrepreneurs bring together purpose and passion to leverage profit in our businesses.
We are shining a light on adventure-loving, purpose-driven, action-minded, authentic, and rebellious entrepreneurs.
Just like us.
So join us as we talk about business and life and everything in between.
Welcome, everyone. Wendy and I were talking about the whole purpose of day one is really knowing yourself and knowing your strengths. We've had so many great conversations today with fellow business owners and entrepreneurs that help you do just that, including Wendy herself, who dove into via character strengths. And really, then the next step of that is really looking at validating your offer. So before we dive into that topic, if you've not caught any of today's interviews, let's do a quick introduction of ourselves. My name is Krystal, and I'm one of the co-hosts and co-owners and co-founders of Serendipitous Rebel. And I'm joined today with my amazing business partner, BFF, sister from another mister, Wendy. And we are business and marketing coaches. I have a marketing background and I do the marketing side of that with a marketing background with a degree from the University of Kansas. I'm a certified master marketer, and I help through coaching and consulting, help clients do just this and help market their offer once it is validated. Wendy, take it away with a brief introduction of yourself.
Okay, let's see. I have a business degree from the George Washington University and a boatload of certifications.
We're on a time limit.
I'm a certified business coach and also specialized in goal setting, positive psychology. And really it's once you have, or it's helping you figure out what your goals are and what you want to do. And that is in alignment with who you are, and to then help to create the plan that the business, that the marketing fits right into. Yes. Yeah. And it was interesting because we talked about how does this qualifying an offer fit into day one? But really what it is, an offer has to be aligned with your business goals and your values. What is your vision? What is your mission? And then you create offers that are in alignment. So I was, yeah. So when we were talking, we're like, this is a really good fit and a logical progression.
And it's funny, this morning I saw an ad. I think it was Amy Porterfield is running ads. Use AI to create your course. And I thought about this, and especially as it pertains to this conversation. I think so many people want to be an online entrepreneur. Okay. They want the freedom and the flexibility. They want the ability to be in control of their income. We do this to make money, right? And so I think that a lot of people jump into online businesses because someone tells you you can do this thing and you could make money, and they fall flat. And that's the whole purpose of today, is like that self-awareness piece. And like you said, the alignment piece of it. And then the other part of that is, okay, we've come up with the offer. How do we validate it? And how do we know that really works? So where would you tell people to start?
I think it really starts with being in alignment with your business vision and goals. And actually it starts with knowing what your business vision and goals are.
Yeah.
And that is, what are you looking for in a business? What are your requirements? We talk a lot about a runway, which really means what is your time commitment? What is your financial goals and obligations? And how much energy do you have? So all of those things come into play when you're actually at the very beginning. Because if you have, I love how you say this. If you're looking for something that ultimately it's like the Volkswagen Mercedes analogy, and I'm going to butcher this, but what I'm saying is, if, oh my gosh, you have this great idea and you're looking to work part-time, you're looking to make, let's just say, extra pocket money, and you don't have a tremendous amount of time to commit, yet your idea is this incredible empire building. Maybe it's totally one-on-one coaching that is going to take you so much time and so much energy and frankly, so much money in order to ramp it up to the point it's like, and this is what you want to do right off the bat. Wow. It is possible to make things happen.
Yep.
But the likelihood of it is, wait a second, let's take the actual idea, the seed behind it, pull it out, and let's make it in an alignment with your runway, with your vision, with your goals. So I think that's really having an idea of where you are, where you want to go, is such a critically important piece to start with.
Yeah. So I'm looking up a stat because it came up in a conversation I had with Tammy Perat, but it was that the percentage of online entrepreneurs that actually make six figures. And I think she said 5% in an interview, and I'm butchering that statistic. So
now here's my question. Is that revenue or is that
profit? So nuanced, but I think the point is that it's a really small percentage that make it across that finish line. And then those that really do start with some basic key foundational things that we talk about in the summit, which is they're really self-aware. They really know what weaknesses are. They really know how to validate their offer. They have an offer that they've created that is in alignment with where they want to be and where they want to go. They have a clear vision of where they want to be. Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't catch up. And then it's also, is there a need for it?
And is it on demand? Is it something that will sell? And
what is the market? What's your market?
And ultimately, what problem do you solve? That's what we always ask our clients.
Exactly.
Solve. And when we talk about an offer that when people come to us, it's not even just that, can your offer sell? Because I think almost all offers in some capacity can sell. Okay.
A certain number. Yeah.
A certain number. Right. But can it sell in a sustainable, scalable way?
Mhm.
And that's the piece of validating that I really want to talk about today. When we talk about our runway with clients, we ask them to start first with, how much money do you need? It's a really basic question. It's a question that gets missed a lot of times.
Mhm.
All of us come into online business from different spaces and places. Some of us are married and we have spouses that are supplementing our income at home
Mhm.
that allow us a lot more freedom and flexibility to not make money right away.
Mhm.
Okay. Some of us are single and need money now because
Mhm.
we have bills to pay.
Right. Or in a two income family.
Or they're in two income families
Yeah.
and have bills
Yeah.
to pay.
Yeah.
And we have to supplement this income from a full job
Mhm.
in some capacity. Okay.
That's right.
And that changes what we call the runway, which is your timeline from
Mhm.
like now start.
Mhm.
Eventually the runway ends out. And we've talked about this in podcast episodes, so I won't go so hard into the runway piece of it, but it really is, how much money do you need to make? What are your expenses? What is your income? What's your
Right.
profit? And does the profit meet that goal and what you need to sustain or how you need to live?
That's right.
And because when we talk with clients, and I would say majority of clients that come to us for coaching, they
Mhm.
have an idea. They have an offer, whether it's coaching or I want to run a course or a membership, and they want us to help launch that offer.
Mhm.
Like, great. And truly, what's interesting about online business is, again, we can come up with a strategy or plan to sell anything.
Sure.
And I think a lot of coaches and a lot of people out there will. They're going to promise you the moon, and maybe they deliver and maybe they don't. Very few people are really asking that sustainability question and that validating question. And a lot of it comes down to your pricing of your offer.
Mhm.
And so what's the first steps that we're really looking at then with that?
I think so. It does depend on what the offer is.
Right.
And the one thing I learned from doing a class, at Wharton, was really what you want to do is you take your offer and you strip it back, scale it back to just enough that you can determine is this a viable offer? And you test the waters and you test it and you test it and you test it for an initial offer. And I don't like free betas because I think betas that are, because there's no skin in the game. There's no money in the game. There's no skin in the game. But doing some sort of a beta to test, to figure out, do people want this? And then you can start testing how much to charge. Now, what I think is a lot of times is interesting is you look at who you're selling to. Is it business to business? Is it business to consumer? Is it business to client? Whatever it is. And you have to see, is there competition out there and what are they charging?
Yeah.
And it's not because you're trying to mirror what they're doing. You're trying to get an idea because you hope that everyone does market research, but you're trying to get an idea of what the traffic will bear.
It's true. And what we so that's when we look at that, you're looking at, you can call it a strategy canvas, you can call it your marketing positioning argument.
Exactly.
All of those things. But basically what you're doing is, you're looking at the competition and you're trying to say, okay, they charge. I'm going to go back to your car analogy. Okay.
Sure.
You've got Honda and you got BMW. Okay.
Right.
Other cars, they're solid cars. They're going to get you, they've got good reputations. Okay. One costs twice as much as the other. There are a lot of reasons for that. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm not a big car person, so I can't go into the nuance of the difference between this engine or this engine, but there's special chains, there's special things.
And there's psychographics surrounding it. There's the mindset that I'm cooler if I drive a BMW. If I drive a Honda, does that mean I'm just sturdy and chugging around and in a Honda Odyssey like I have.
Right. And there are safety ratings where one's going to rate one's going to go fast, one's going to go faster. And so what we're looking at though is that to say there's no wrong way to drive. There's no wrong decision on which one do you want to model your business off. Do you want to be the BMW of your world, or do you want to be the Honda Odyssey of your world? But it is about being very clear on who's going to buy.
Exactly. Absolutely. Because you don't want to price your Honda at a BMW level. You don't want to, if you're offering coaching that is designed, say, to a relationship coach, let's just say, and it's a couple's relationship coach. Yeah. So you're not going to price that unless you're the dude who does the love languages. He can charge whatever he wants.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're not him, you're not going to be charging. You're going to charge, what does insurance charge if someone's going to see a marriage counselor? You want to know that. Right. You want to know what other competitive opportunities would be charging. And you want to fit it, if you're brand new, maybe at the lower end of that scale, because you're new. And in a lot of cases, you need to build your credibility. You need to build your following, things of that nature. Not to say you ever underprice your worth, not saying that, but just in terms of a scale, there's a lower end and a higher end. But you need to know what that is, because I've heard coaches make $250 an hour. Sure. There are many coaches that do. Are they relationship coaches, or are they coaches? I know that there's Instagram expert coaches who charge $500 an hour. Yeah. But they're not relationship. It's knowing who your audience is and what the traffic will bear.
And I do know relationship coaches who can charge that. There are very specific niche market that are working with
very high
end people. Yeah. So I'm a relationship coach that works with CEOs that are high achieving earners, and I'm teaching them how to have conversations with their families at home and disconnect from the office. And it's about, again, how are you packaging your brand? Who are you speaking to? And then what is the service level that you're giving? Okay. Are you on call more often than not? Are you giving additional information and supplements and training and resources beyond just a one-on-one call? So it's really about asking yourselves again, the packaging of your offer when you're going through the process of, I think about service providers that charge different fees for what they do. Okay. What kind of end documents do you give clients when you turn this over to people? What kind of resources do you give clients along the way in coaching? How available and on demand are you? Do you give them extra resources and training and packages? When I think about our coaching, you get access to us daily via Voxer, but you also get access to templates we have built out, to worksheets we have built out, to things that we supplement and give clients along the way.
Sure. And that all comes together in a comprehensive, and actually it's your comprehensive strategy for what you're offering to your clients. And then, you price according to that. Again, it's within the realm of what you can give your clients the world. Yeah. Will they pay for it? And in some cases, can they pay for it? And then you need to figure out where it is from there. The other thing that I think is interesting, and I'm not sure that is given a lot of thought, but is your offer, does it have scalable opportunities?
Yeah.
And I think that's something that, again, does it have enough audience? It's what do they talk about? If your target audience is, I don't know, what did I hear? It was like a purple hippopotamus who needs to overcome a lemonade addiction or something along those lines, where maybe there's one or two in the world, it's not a scalable offer. That's obviously a ridiculous image, but nonetheless, it's looking at what is the size of your audience that you can draw from. Now, with billions of people in this world, in all likelihood, your offer is scalable to something, but it's making sure that it is.
And then is it sustainable? And so
Exactly.
conversations of how much bandwidth do you have to put in to get this off the ground? And by bandwidth, there's three things really that a business needs to get off the ground: time, money, and then your own personal energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so how much of that do you have to allocate to this? How much does that take to get something going? We've worked with clients who charge $35 for their thing, but it takes them 5 hours to put together.
And that's 5 divided by 35 is $7.
$7 an hour. And how many of those do you need to do? How many of those $35 offers do you need to do then to make the income that you're looking for to meet that revenue and profit goal? And ultimately now, okay, if it takes 7 hours to do one and we need 100 to hit our revenue goals, now we have to work 700 hours to get there. I know most of us just don't have that level of bandwidth. And so it's really coming to a really hard reality of, I'm not going to make enough money to do this, even if I love it. What else can I do? And how else can I package this or supplement it? Or is this something I just do part-time because it's a passion project of mine and I love? Or how else can we rework this? And these are like some really hard conversations.
Exactly.
With almost every client, I feel, comes to this moment. And I feel not for you, but
yeah, no, I remember when the first beta I did, I gave away one-on-one sessions, not just one-on-one session, like 3 of them. And I realized right then and there, for what was a fairly low ticket offer, it was absolutely unsustainable and could never, ever do that again. The beauty is I figured that out in the beginning.
Yeah.
And this was actually with Rebel on the Go before Serendipitous Rebel. And I realized that in the beginning. And I think that's one of the really valuable, actually, I think that's one of the most valuable things that we do is we say the hard work answers to questions, do it up front.
Yeah.
Do it up front. And these are not necessarily questions that we like answering or that are necessarily easy to answer, but it's invaluable to know this at the get-go, because you can always pivot.
Yes.
And you want to do these things before, and I'm going to say an investment, and I'm really going to say an emotional investment, because at some point it's like, oh my gosh, I've invested so much time into this, so much energy. I have to see this through. I can't lose, or I can't fail. And the beauty of and the one thing I also really like looking at when you're taking and validating an offer is you're going at it from a sense of curiosity. Oh, I have this really cool offer. I wonder if it'll work.
Yeah.
Let's figure out how this would work. Let's figure if it will work. And you're looking at it from almost like the scientist with the goggles and the beakers. And you're like, oh, I'm putting a little bit in here. They don't have success. Out of the 1,000 times that they try, their success is probably 1. And it's a similar type of an approach in that you want to get it before those resources really get out of control. And that's why it's so important, I think. And yes, I'm looking at it from the mindset perspective, but I think it also allows you to really set yourself foundationally to once you hit that runway and you're going, that plane is going to soar. That plane is absolutely going to soar because you've done all the checks. And actually, we haven't really talked about, ever mentioned this, but what happens if you don't do the pre-flight work on a plane? Ooh,
nobody wants to
ooh,
be on that plane.
ooh. We're talking about a similar thing here. This is your pre-flight.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity to make sure that everything is in place, that all your little nuts and bolts are tightened up and all that stuff. Yeah. And I don't know if anyone is really, if you're looking at doing, say, some high tech or a lot of software stuff, you also have to make sure that you have done a risk assessment. If you're opening up a shingle with coaching, you do want to make sure that what your limits and boundaries are, and you have the necessary credentials and all that kind of whatever's required. But in a lot of cases, there's also risk assessment, which really, it's legally and financially, is this what you want to do? And again, knowing that plane is ready and able to take off.
And knowing what your exit plan is. And
oh, yes.
I don't think that there's a coincidence that when we get on a plane, we're talking about, these are your exits. This is how you get off. This is like in the event of an emergency, the stock is going to drop down. And I think that to that sunk cost fallacy point, I do think
I would never use that kind of grandiose. That's I like that. That's good.
But it is, because it's an actual term for it, but it's actually where you're like, okay, I have invested so much time and so much money into this. If I just keep investing time and money into it, it will keep going. And it was interesting because you and I had the conversation behind the scenes as coaches to say, okay, people pay us monthly to coach them and to consult and to work with them. They have a goal, they want to achieve it. And when we start to poke holes into the validity of their offer, are we helping them? I know I have had the question of, are we failing as coaches to not do their job, to take it across the finish line? And you're going to say something to that, so I'm going to go with it.
It's so interesting because by definition, a coach asks a lot of questions. Coaxes information and coaxes, but ultimately it's an individual making the decisions for themselves and really ultimately coming up with the right plan for themselves. I think a lot of programs, it's not really coaching, it's consulting, it's advising. There's all sorts of different terminology. I think we lump everything under coaching, but truly, no, it's not failing a client because it's really, these are the options. This is the smorgasbord. This is what you can take from it. And I think the beauty of actually coaching is you're offering more than just one option. You're not saying you have to do this course. And if you can't, and if it doesn't fit you just perfectly, then it's you that's, but I think that's definitely a whole other conversation. But
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think what it is ultimately is saying it would be a bigger failure to the client to let them keep going down the path that they're going, knowing that's not going to work.
Correct.
Or at least without asking the question. And it's not to say that there are Hail Mary passes out there. It's not to say that there are things that can't be done, but ultimately business comes down to numbers. Business and marketing comes down to the data and numbers. And there are people we bring into our world. There's a sales point, there's a conversion rate, there's an industry conversion rate, there's knowing what your conversion rate is, but very few of us are converting at 100%. We would all be going a lot more gangbusters. We are. And so it's really about understanding all of those data points along the way and then figuring out what levers in each point can we actually manipulate, pull realistic to make it work. And that's part of the whole validation process, because I know a lot of, I'm going to use marketing agencies and consultants as an example, because that's more my world, will guarantee results. You come to me, I'm going to guarantee a result. You coach with me, I'm going to guarantee that we're going to sell your thing. Okay. But when you look at the overall strategy about what they're getting people, the reality is there's just no physical way that every single offer that goes through that thing make the money that you need to make to.
Well, unless it's customized and it's very specific. It's interesting. What? Sorry, it just popped into my. I have to run with it because otherwise I forget it. Again, I'm thinking about and this does tie into this, because if not knowing or not having the pieces in place that are really customized to your own passions, interests, values, strengths, we go on and on. You may not have a particularly long runway, which means that it's good to know what an exit strategy is. And it makes me think that one of the things that we like to do at the outset is sit down, take the time to do, where do I see myself in 5 years?
Yeah.
What is it that I truly ultimately want out of this? And it's possible to create a strategy from that. I think about it, this just popped into my head too. Years ago, or maybe it's not that many years ago, but years ago, Mallory Schleba, who you interviewed, she did a marketing strategy for me for Rebel on the Go, which I still have.
Yeah.
And but it was one of those things where it wasn't necessarily I also think that when we look at strategy, it isn't necessarily the tasks, the implementation of the strategy and the tasks. Right. It's that 35,000, again, the plane analogy, the 35,000 foot view down. Yeah. And what is it that you're creating? And then, okay, then there's a strategy from that view. And then from there is how do you implement it? And I think one of the things with creating the offer is you have to do that work up top. Yeah. You have to. You have an offer. Okay, let's then strategize of how to implement the offer. And that's where, sometimes with like ad agencies or other consultants, I think their assumption is you've already done the work up top. Yeah. They're coming in and saying, okay, we have a high ad spend and you're selling, I don't know, peanuts. And unless you do the math and figure out, is this really am I ever going to recoup the money with sales? Yeah. I think about someone, who was sold on it wasn't one of the very, very expensive CRM, more expensive than Funnel Gorgeous, more expensive than ClickFunnels. And I can't remember. It was very expensive. Yeah, very expensive. They were just starting out of the gate. Yeah. And it was like $200 a month just for the CRM. Yeah. And I have this, and it was so robust and full of so much stuff. Whoa. I was told I had to have it.
Yeah. And
but where does it fit into the picture?
And you have to understand again where you want to go,
exactly.
And then, be very crystal clear on that. And also be very clear on what it will take to get there. And
that's right.
That was the most amazing thing and point of clarity that you and I had when you and I decided to go into business together, was that we were in alignment with that one.
That's right. That's right.
Knowing that we were not looking for a $7 million empire to build out of this. And so once we were in alignment with that, then we could create things to fill in the blank, but still be very realistic about the goals and the goals of how much money, all pebbles. Hi. No, it's okay. My dog is pacing around the front door. I keep waiting for him to bark because there are people walking.
Well, I'm in a hotel. I'm in a hotel room right now, so I have no idea who's knocking on my door.
That's fine. But I think it's like really understanding then, okay, how are we going to create an offer, solves the problems that we can solve.
That's right.
What do we price that at? Because what will our ideal audience and client buy? And what are they comfortable spending? And
that's right.
Those can we do sustainably a month. That determines the business model that we plug things in, and go from there.
Sorry.
But once you can figure out those pieces, now you're creating a business model that has some runway.
Yeah.
But it's knowing all those things up front. That's how you really validate the offer. And then once you sell it, there's a market for it. Now we can start figuring out ways to scale this. But
Exactly.
I think that so many people want the business first and want the profit goal, and then they also create the offer, but they're not actually they're making all these decisions independent of each other. And I think that we always feel, or I guess I don't want to speak for you, but I'm going to.
No,
we always feel like it's our job as the coach, the consultant in the situation, to shine a light on this piece. And most of us, and I'm including myself in this, I like to put my head in the sand when it comes to finances, and I like to not look at these things because that's easier. And that's why we have a bookkeeper that knocks us up over the head need when we need it. But it's really just understanding that, yes, all of these pieces come together. Heavy lies the crown of CEO of your business. And if you want to go to business for yourself, these are some like actual hard questions and hard things that you have to look at from the beginning.
Yeah. Being an entrepreneur is a wonderful way to make a living. And it offers tremendous opportunities. There are also tremendous risks, and also there are some drawbacks. And I think it's really that whole being mindful and open and curious in the beginning that allows for success and sustainability as you go through it. Yeah. And it's like you take the time in the beginning, and it's much smoother sailing as you go along.
Yeah. So as we were wrapping up this conversation, what are maybe 3 things you would have people look at before they launch their business? That,
as we mentioned, it's really having a handle on what it is you're looking for. What is it you want to achieve out of this business 5 years down the road?
Yeah.
And that takes away some of the more mundane tasks and the day-to-day operations and gives you the higher view. With that, you have to know your own values and strengths. You have to. And also, I don't know that I really think that trying to keep the curiosity, which overcomes at times, I think you can't be embarrassed, shamed, feeling like a failure if you have curiosity. And I think that's one of the strengths that really, if it isn't a top strength, is one of those muscles that needs to be exercised, because there is no place in entrepreneurship for the shame, the fear. There's always fear.
Yes.
But it has to be, and actually a small dose of fear is actually, I think, super healthy, because it keeps you out of your comfort zone. But that's a whole other conversation. But really, the feeling of failure, the feeling of shame, these feelings that can really take off. Keeping the curiosity at the forefront is an invaluable muscle.
I agree. I think that's.
And you? Oh, I thought
I guess I could get my take. No, I think that you have to, I really am going to echo, you have to know where you want to go. And there needs to be a number tied to that. And I think that it's really understanding, I want a house with a housekeeper, and I think about some of these like things, they feel frivolous, but there's monetary value tied to all those things. That's why that's why we're in business. I want to make a profit. So I can pay somebody to clean my house, or to fund my special needs daughter living situation, or you've got kids that are leaving for college. We want to pay bills. There's money tied to that. Okay. That gives me a pretty clear indication of how much money I want to make, or how much money are you wanting to make it that make the shit to pay ratio worth it to show up in your business. And then understand how many clients do you need to make that happen. And so you have to have a handle on all of the other side of things. and then understand and be very clear on what your left and right limits are for your own personal bandwidth when you're going to all of these things. Because I have heard a lot of clients tell me, I will do whatever it takes to get this off the ground. I will work as many hours as we want and how many things it takes. And I think that I love that gumption, and I love that resilience, and I love that how
shorter pinchable moments.
It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable for a lifetime. And that's why so much of Serendipitous Rebels coaching model is built around savor. Okay. Like, how do you savor your life? How are we enjoying the journey, and how are we showing up here? Because it's not just that the shit to pay ratio has to be worth it, guys. It has to be enjoyable and fun.
That's right. That's very true.
But if we're just showing up at our computer on Monday mornings, like totally unfulfilled and out of alignment and not excited about this, these are some key indicators that it's time for a pivot and time for a change.
Yeah.
So I think it's all part of the validating process.
Yes.
Thank you so much, you guys, for joining us for day one. We are so excited to jump into all of the amazing niches and then wrapping up with the nuts and bolts that are required for business mastery. So thank you again for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating.
But only if you liked it. Otherwise, just keep it to yourself.
You can learn more about purposeful podcasting on our website at serendipitousrebel.com.
And if you have topics you'd like to hear about, be sure to submit them on our website or DM us on social media.